Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks for the Vibrant Living Radio Network. And for Vibrant Longevity, imagine if each moment you could choose to live longer, and the song that you sing to your body and other people's bodies. I always feel we have a song we sing to ourselves, and then we have a song we sing to others. Okay? So when we sing the song, we begin to actually ourselves listen into it. Ourselves listen to it. I had a woman come to see me. She wrote a book called Your Brain Listens to Every Word You Speak. Your Brain Listens to Every Word You Speak. Barbara Feldman wrote that book, and she changed her brain. She had a serious brain injury. She told me she became very aware of what she spoke to her brain. We're here today with Dr. Norman Shealy. I love to call him Uncle Norm. He's got the energy and wisdom of young and growing wiser by the moment. And he's written over 40 books. I picked up his books. His first book on how to really self-care, how to really take care of yourself, grow younger. His book on bliss. He's got 40. Dr. Norm Shealy is both a neurosurgeon. He stretched beyond his degrees to integrate more soul. He also has integrated the wisdom from, if you will, the other side, the deeper wisdom of the collective unconscious. We have all this wisdom around us. The thing is, can we tap the wisdom and live it? And we can. I want you guys to become part of our group. I want you to write down what moves you about having a vibrant vision that you could transform what's been, some of your counterfeit thoughts and ideas. I want to welcome Lisa LaRose, dear friend, associate producer to the Vibrant Living, Vibrant Living, our Vibrant Longevity. I got the Vibrant Living Challenge that was sticking in my consciousness, but it is a challenge, but a blessed challenge. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you radiating positivity today. It's a true blessing. Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to welcome everybody on prn.fm, and appreciate you guys. Appreciate your what a group we got there. What a group of wonderful inquirers. That's what we need in the culture right now. We need more people to ask why. Why? Why did we give up our whys? Why? It's kind of like I was telling Lisa, at 3 a.m, I went to see my son, my beautiful son, my handsome, smart son, Michael Brooks, passed away in July, and I decided to get up at 3 a.m. I didn't really decide; it just kind of came, and I went over to go to the cemetery. It's a very beautiful cemetery. It's a cemetery where they have. It's basically a green cemetery. There's no chemicals in Michael's body. There's no formaldehyde, and it's a cemetery where pretty much social intellect, social contributors are buried. And I didn't want to have my son actually cremated, and I shared that with my daughter's fiance. And long story short, everything worked out, and this beautiful cemetery became available within 12 hours. And all these beautiful things happen. All these kind of miraculous things happen. So I went over there last night, but I feel Michael Brooks lives in my heart. I'm doing a video on him, which I'm letting you guys know about. I'm very excited to share that. And this morning I was thinking about getting a mala. Matter of fact, I want to ask you, first of all, welcome Dr. Norm Shealy. I want to ask Norm about the mala. Do you know what a mala is, Norm? You know what a mala is, I guess. That's my first question. You know what a mala is?
No, I don't. Mala?
Okay, all right. Mala.
Spell it.
Oh, asking me to spell is like asking a donkey to find a horse or something. Lisa, could you spell mala?
M-A-L-A. M as in Mark, A-L-A.
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
So it's similar to a rosary in the fact that each bead signifies a prayer or a blessing, depending on what you use it for. And what, as you hold your finger on a bead, it to take you to a place of mindfulness and presence. And I think that is what your intention is. Is that correct, Glenn?
My intention was to get a picture of Michael and put it in the mala and have it close to my heart. So have a picture of Michael, a picture that I just called my daughter and asked her to send me some pictures. I was at a seminar, and this woman there had a mala for Guru, and the seminar leader asked her to break that picture and put a picture of herself as a baby in the mala, so she would be in touch with her divine small self, her her baby self. And that's what I was thinking about today. I was thinking about there was a point in my life where I picked up a book the book is called Birth Without Violence, Birth Without Violence by Dr. Frederick Leboyer, Birth Without Violence. And I had a girlfriend. I used to call my girlfriend Divinity. My girlfriend's name was Ruthie, but I called her Divinity. So when I got a wrong number sometimes, and I'd say, "Hi, is Divinity there?" And they said no, I would say, "There's no divinity in your house?" That was my response line. But I used to love reading the Leboyer book, or not reading it, seeing the pictures. And if you look at that book, if you get a copy of Birth Without Violence, it's so beautiful. When you see the baby born, I think Leboyer used like a warm water, a small bathtub, and encouraged the mother to really be very relaxed. And the baby's face, you see the baby looks totally different. And that was something that really impacted me. So I woke up this morning thinking about Leboyer's book and about getting a model with my son's pictures in it. That's what I was. And I wanted to ask you, for the people coming into our Vibrant Longevity program, our Vibrant Longevity community, how do images, when you work with someone, Norm, how do you work with their images? How do you help them focus on the vision of the things that brighten up their life, so that what was, as you said before, the old pictures, the old thought viruses uproot and take off, because we're feeding these new images and beginning a new life together. Welcome.
You want me to answer that, or are you waiting for?
It's going to be you. I was thinking you, God, or Lisa. I think God, Norm. Who do you think should answer that question? I don't know. It's an open. I was thinking about you, actually, Norm. Yes, you.
Well, every day in every way, I am getting better and better. That is one of my favorites. Now, that of course, was Emile Coué in France. He supposedly cured 10,000 people by having them just repeat that simple phrase over and over again, every day and every way. I'm getting better and better. And he actually did that in the beginning, just about the same time that autogenic training was developed in 1912. And both of those are, to me, positive affirmations, a way of focusing your attention on the good and not just ignoring, but denying the negativity. And, of course, my other favorite came from Olga World's husband. Every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, emotions, companions, hopes, and despair. So those are the core philosophies that drive me every moment of every day.
Do you feel like that philosophy transfers into your cells, so that your chronological age doesn't reflect your age?
Well, every thought is a prayer, and so I like to think only these positive things. There's no point in thinking about negativity. I mean, now, if I could change something negative, if I have the energy, the power somehow to change the negative, I could focus on it. But if I'm not the Supreme Court, and in fact, I honestly believe the Supreme Court has gone to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
I don't trust them any more than I trust any other aspect of government, which is zero. But I don't focus on it. I detach.
Say more. There was a book written by this physicist, Lester Levinson, and he wrote a book called Choose Freedom. And I read it, and what he was saying is that he had this very intense heart condition, but he kept releasing his wants, the things that he felt he wanted. He would kind of release them. And he developed this whole method called the Sedona method. So that was one of his things, was that when you release a program, you become free of the consequence of the program. So scarcity programs about ill health. So when you say detach, it's a very, very powerful thing. What would you suggest about the practice of detaching? Because when you say it, I know you're saying something so powerful.
Well, it means that I don't allow the thought even of the negativity to rumble about in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, today is a beautiful day, but if we had rain, it would be a beautiful day too, because I would be thanking the rain for watering the ground. Now, this month we've already had 10 inches of rain, which is over twice our average May rainfall, but that's good. It's better than a drought.
Right.
So where do you see the will come in?
Well, there is the will to live.
Mm-hmm.
That is the essential thing. We've got to have air. We have to have water. We have to have food. We have to have clothes. Unless we lived at the equator, I suppose we wouldn't have to have clothes. And we have to have a home, a shelter. And if we've got those things, we don't have to fight to survive. Now, if you don't have any one of those essentials, you've got to spend your life fighting to get the essentials. Then there's what I call the internal will. That is the desire to accomplish something very specific. My first known will, internal will as I call it, was to become a physician, and that came on at age 4.
That's amazing.
And at age 16, it changed to I wanted to become a neurosurgeon. And
wow.
Of course, then I went to college at age 16, and I actually went to medical school at age 19, 3 years younger than the average person who goes to medical school. But that was my will. And then my will was to be a professor of neurosurgery. And I finished my neurosurgical residency, and I was on the faculty at Western Reserve Medical School, where the chairman of the department was an alcoholic. And my will to be a professor of neurosurgery rapidly over a 3-year period disappeared. I didn't like any aspect of the fact that an alcoholic who was erratic as holy stink could be in charge of a department and nobody would do anything about it. To me, that was a bureaucracy that sucks. And so I called my old mentor from medical school, Dr. Talmadge Peel, who used to, he always called me Junior. He had no children of his own, but I was called Junior. And he said, Junior, you're ruining your career. Well, I just am not willing to put up with the crap, Talmadge. And I left academic medicine. And my next will was then to create holistic medicine. And interestingly, again, I created holistic medicine, but the wimps, and I do consider them wimps,
yes,
who ran the association after I was president, fell into the public miasma of alternative, complementary, and finally integrative. And to me, integrative is almost a curse word. The idea of calling holism integrative, well, I can't say it on the radio.
Right.
Because it isn't. We aren't integrating anything into conventional medicine. We are providing a role model of what holism is. And holism is body, mind, and soul. It is not body, it is not mind, it is body, mind, and soul. And if you don't include all three of those, you are not holistic. So that's the way I look at will. And, of course, ultimately, there's the will of the soul, which to me is the purpose in life is to help people. That's all. There's no other purpose. And everything that helps another person is just as good as anything else. There's not a hierarchy of good. The person who made this phone is just as good as I am. Is doing just as much useful for humanity. I've got a pair of scissors sitting here on my desk. The person who made that's just as great. The computer, every single thing is equally good for humanity if it helps.
So there's no higher order in help as long as you're on the path and you're assisting and helping. That's a divine contribution.
Exactly. And your ultimate goal in helping other people is to put them in touch with the divine, to help them recognize divinity.
By the way, there is an association of holistic dentists, and I'm going to have them on. I'm going to actually probably most likely be choosing a holistic dentist and invite them on to meet with you, because they still use the word holistic. When the word holistic medicine or holistic medicine disappeared, I was very confused, I realized, and I'm so happy we explored this, because a lot of people, we had worked with Dr. Gail Randall, and everybody was using this integrative and complementary, and that was all these conferences were using that word, and I was thinking, what happened to that blessed word, holism and holistic? Where did that go? So you've helped me to solve the mystery. Thank you.
Yes. They changed the name to the Association of Integrative Health and Medicine. To me, well, the kindest thing I could say is BS.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think what happens in that realm, you start to get the media involved and whatnot. It was interesting. When you talked about the divine and being put in touch with the divine, it made me think. I was out shopping a few weeks ago, just to pick up a couple of things, and I saw this gentleman sitting in a chair, and he looked a little despondent, and I just asked him how his day was going, and he had a bunch of papers, and he said, I'm not doing really well. He said, my little buddy, my grandson, my 2-year-old grandson, has excessive lead levels. We don't know how it happened, and he's in Children's Hospital. And I said to him, I said, I can offer you some suggestions of what to do holistically, some foods that I know make a difference. I can suggest some doctors that I know do chelation therapy. I said, other than what is the mainstream is offering you. And I asked him specifically, I said, what are they doing? And he said that the prognosis, his levels were so high that they didn't offer much hope. So I suggested to him the properties of cilantro and also chlorella, and I sent him several articles supporting that. And I said, I can tell you what I know about these foods and how they help heal. And he messaged me back about 3 days later, and he said, well, it doesn't seem to be working. I said, well, thank you for trusting and at least reading the article and the information. I said, but it's not like an aspirin. It doesn't happen overnight. But he's kept in touch with me, and I said, you just need to be patient, especially if the levels were really high. And he messaged me yesterday saying that the levels have come down remarkably. The doctors are amazed, and that this morning he messaged me very early saying that his grandson woke up on his own and wanted to play, which is the first time that he's wanted to do anything like that. So, he was very grateful. But I said to him, I said, it was a divine meeting. It was not by accident that our paths crossed. I said, but it takes two of us. I said, I could have all of the information in the world, but if you're not open to receiving what I have to share with you, it really isn't of any value to anybody. And I said, we all have the opportunity to be the teacher and the student. And then he sent me another text back saying, well, what you do gets a lot of bad publicity, and I sort of subscribe to what you say, Norm, that I said, well, I haven't heard anything about that in my world. There's only, good information. So, I wanted to keep it very positive, but I said, we all have the opportunity to be the teacher. We all have the opportunity to be the student. We just need to be in grace with when we, and the wisdom to know when we're either one. So, but I think it's very interesting, some of the simple things that you have written about in your books, and it may have been in one of your books that I found out about them. I don't recall, but I just knew in my database of information. Okay, lead, cilantro, chlorella, and I'm sure there's other foods as well. But it makes a difference. You never know where it is that the divine puts you, and I'm sure you feel that way. Both of you have many miracles that occur.
Well, one of my other stupid aphorisms is halitosis is better than no breath at all. That's sometimes a compliment to a statement somebody has just made.
That's funny. That is funny. That is funny.
Well, I was thinking. So last night, 3 in the morning, I went to get gasoline, and I was thinking to myself, what would happen if a year ago from today, I guess the government or the media said we're going to do a campaign to stop Roundup and fluoride. And imagine if everybody was having a conversation about how healthy we could be if there wasn't Roundup on the ground. And that was sort of a campaign, and we were going to make an effort about grassroots organics because we realized that because you said it so brilliantly, as long as there's Roundup. And I realized people would be having such a different conversation on the street. Like, as an example, I was at another gasoline station today, and there was a guy in the store not wearing a mask, and he was explaining to the cashier that he's been thoroughly vaccinated. And he's standing there, he looks so relaxed without his mask on, and she was like, "Oh, okay." So now we have a different standard of conversation because everybody's having this very minimalistic or kind of crazy conversation. But I was thinking to myself, if the conversation was that we need to get Roundup totally stopped, being manufactured and put on the earth, and also take care of all these other names they use for it, it would be such a different conversation if we were talking about what really mattered. And people, as an example, were doing something like the autogenic exercise, and they started to realize that blood pressure would go down. And because often the culture, and this is why I want you guys to be a part of the Vibrant Longevity community, is that when you're in the practice of results and you're breathing differently and you're experiencing the wonder of life, it's so different than being medicated by your own misthinking, your own thought viruses, or taking all these different medications, or, as an example, believing the notion that a vaccine could build your health. I think Sherry Tenpenny had a video or something about, do vaccines make you healthy? That seems to be such a missing question in the culture right now, right?
And, once upon a time, I think they might have. But somewhere along the line, people got distracted and they began to wallow in manure in the vaccine manufacturing. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I look at the current situation. The vaccines are basically wallowing in manure.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I prefer clean water and soap.
Yes. Yeah, I think what Lisa did. So cilantro, just like chlorella, is kind of a powerful medicine. I think Dr. Bernard Jensen was the first person. He was very much an advocate of chlorella. What are your comments about cilantro and chlorella in terms of heavy metals and being natural chelators? Do you feel like they're significant to include in our diet?
Yeah, no question about it. They're natural and safe and good. Very naturopathic.
Right. Naturopathic, yes.
I know and because you had mentioned Roundup and also fluoride, I know that affects the pineal gland. Is there something that you would recommend, Dr. Shealy, that could help with the decalcification of the pineal? I know that your Air Bliss, I believe, is that correct? Does that help?
Well, Air Bliss actually increases oxytocin, the bonding and nurturing hormone, and it is good for depression and anxiety. But actually, of the Bliss oils, the only one that would, there are two that would be detoxifying. Water, which normalizes aldosterone, and, of course, crystal, which decreases free radicals. Every day we have cells that actually die, and they go out of the body as an altered fat, so to speak, if you will. The cell wall is the fat, and that produces something called a free radical. So crystal bliss reduces free radicals a whopping 80%. I don't know any other approach that will reduce free radicals that significantly.
So what happens when we reduce free radicals or an oxidization, right? We begin to rust. Is that the beginning of rejuvenation or regeneration of the cell then?
Well, if you can stop the production of free radicals, it means you are helping to stop degeneration, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm 24 hours. I always actually make it a point to not give time so much energy. It's sort of interesting that I said that. But yesterday I had this guy crash into my car, and it was pretty funny. There was a moment where he asked me how I was, and I said pretty good. And about 10 minutes later, I felt a little discomfort in my left hip. And then he was disappointed I still wasn't pretty good. And I said, no, I'm still pretty good. Fundamentally, I'm good, but I'm noticing my left hip. But I think he was concerned that if I was injured, it was going to cost him more money. So it's kind of a funny situation in a way, right? So I wanted to ask you, because in a lifetime, and I think this is the last thing that Dr. Valerie Hunt said to me. She said that what causes people to break down is shock. They get shocked. And if they don't remove the shock, that's what ultimately causes illness. The shock that they let into their body. I think the guy who found it, it's called the new medicine. It's a philosophical way of looking at healing in Germany. So they say when you get shocked, that's the beginning of illness. So yesterday I felt a little shocked. I mean, not majorly, but enough. It just was a little stunning. And I was going to ask you, in your medicine and the medicine you work with people, including autogenics, how do we remove shock? Or how do you recommend people remove shock for our group of people?
Well, personally, I do autogenic training, of course. That's at the top of my list. But right after that is I get into the bathtub and fill it with extremely warm water, about 110, 12 degrees. And then I put in 4 big handfuls of magnesium chloride, and I soak in it for 20 minutes. And that, to me, it makes you sweat, and it helps detoxify the body as a whole better than anything I know. And you get a sauna, and it does some of the same, but not as well as when you're bathing in magnesium chloride. Now, I do that electively at least 4 days a week.
That's amazing.
Because I just like it. It feels good, and why not? I mean, I'm only talking about 20 minutes, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
Sounds a good investment.
That. Why not? Right?
Why not? Right.
That's a good mantra to live by. If something is good for you, why not do it?
Right. Yeah.
Now, on the days when I don't soak in the magnesium chloride bath, I do use magnesium lotion on the body, because the 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, which is essential for 350 or more enzymes and biochemical reactions in the body. And so it's probably one of the greatest deficiencies in modern life is lack of magnesium.
I think I forgot her name, but this doctor wrote a book on magnesium. She was saying that it should be a basic at the hospital. It would help so many people coming in with all kinds of issues, including cardiac concerns. Is that something that you would agree with?
4 years ago, when I had my back surgery, I developed auricular fibrillation, the irregular, very fast heartbeat. And I said, either you give me 4 grams of magnesium chloride or I'll leave this fucking hospital right now. Sorry. They gave me 4 grams of magnesium chloride intravenously right away.
That's wonderful.
Now,
I think we're going to put this under. We're going to put that under Norm Shealy bloopers today.
I really would have left the hospital and driven home to get my magnesium.
Mm-hmm. So you feel magnesium is so fundamental that it's crazy that hospitals don't offer it routinely.
Well, it's crazy they don't offer intravenous vitamin C either.
Right.
I mean, to me, now most of the time you don't have to use the magnesium intravenously, but if you're in an emergency situation, it'll stop auricular fibrillation right now. It's a lot better than shocking the heart.
Right. So it sounds like we got to put the vibrant, assertive patient guide together. Like it seems like people need something in highly medical environments that will not just save their lives but make their lives better. It seems like the challenge of getting into a hospital or medical offices is they seem to not use the essential nutrients and healing consciousness that is at the source of healing.
The average physician knows less than anything about nutrition. A couple of years ago, I was actually invited to speak to our county medical society about nutrition, one of the rare times when they've asked me to speak about something important. I spoke for 1 hour. At the end of that time, one of the physicians said, "Norm, where do you get all this information?" And I said, "From PubMed." And he said, "What's PubMed?" And he said, "What's PubMed?"
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Now, PubMed is the authoritarian depository, if you will, of medical information. Google Scholar has more in it, but it's not quite as refined.
How many medical students contact you to stay in touch? Like, what was that like after you talked to them? Did that stir some of them, or no?
No, not one.
No. Right. There's a book written, I forgot the name of this book, but this is a book written by a neurologist, and she's saying that when she was about to graduate, the neurologists got together, and she had terrible migraines, and they all said, we're going to make so much money that we'll just take painkillers, that the relevant thing is they were going to make this ton of money. So her mother convinced her to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, practice in the ancient art of Ayurveda. And the Ayurvedic practitioner, she told him she had migraines, but what he said to her was, he said, I think he told her that she had 100 different diseases, but in Ayurveda, the most relevant disease is the ability to assimilate and digest food. So that's what he was going to treat her for. So her recent book, now that she's integrated Ayurvedic medicine, it's all about ways that you could use these ancient herbs to detoxify and regenerate the brain. So she kind of went off the path. So the path of modern medicine seems to be that it still seems to be a very suppressive path. As an example, in your expertise around pain, it just seems like pain is very much an equation of strong suppressive medications. And I know I think you said this. You have said this many times. That I think you said past 3 months that most medication, conventional medicine, is degenerative. It's not serving you. But there's a lot of people, as an example, they're on their blood pressure medications, their thyroid medications. There are multiple medications that no one seems to give them an alternative to, which seems to be one of the dilemmas of modern medicine. It's not lifestyle medicine. Maybe this a minimalistic type of lifestyle medicine. In a moment, we're going to do the autogen exercise, which is one of the most powerful exercises where you could begin to gain mastery over your involuntary nervous system and really experience the self-healing, restorative healing, and really relax at another whole level. This is a beautiful practice called autogenics, the autogenic practice. So if you're driving or doing something where you kind of need to have to pay attention, take a break. Take a pause for the conscious cause, regenerating your body, letting your nervous system become in tune, and your digestion better and your blood pressure dropping. So this is a beautiful exercise that we ask everyone. We require people to practice during the Vibrant Living or the Vibrant Longevity program, the Vibrant Longevity community. So if you're ready, Uncle Norm, Dr. Shealy, I'd love to do the exercise along with Nisa and have you guys share in this beautiful exercise which you could get a copy of and begin to practice. We'll give you that after this practice with Dr. Norm.
Okay, so relax. Just take a deep breath. And remember, just taking a deep breath begins the process of relaxation. And after you take that deep breath, get the sensory awareness of your body as a whole. You can do that in a minute or less of just being aware of every part of your body. Is it feeling good and okay? That's what you want every part of your body to feel, from your big toe to your left ear, etc. You want every part to feel good and okay. And then, as you breathe in, you say in your own mind, repeat the words after me in your own mind. My arms and legs, and as you breathe out, are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My heartbeat is calm and regular. 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 My breathing is free and easy. 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 My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My abdomen is warm. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My mind is quiet and still. 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 I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. And feel in your body, your mind, every part of your physical being at peace. And examine your body again and just sense how much in tune, at peace, every cell in your body is just with this brief exercise. Then take a deep breath, open your eyes, stretch comfortably, and move on.
I'm so peaceful and so relaxed. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And in 4 minutes, roughly, that brief repetition will lower the blood pressure in 90% of people back down into the normal range. Now, in order to train the body, you do it for 18 minutes, twice a day for 3 months. But after that, you can do 1 to 4 repetitions of each phrase and get the same results.
That is so powerful. It's like our friend Jack Schwartz. I know he's influenced me a lot. He's influenced Dr. Norm. They were whipping him once. He was a freedom fighter during World War II, and he was helping the Jews in I believe it was Denmark. And the Nazis caught him and they whipped him. But he consciously forgave them, and he said the welts and all the scarring went away instantly. So we have access to this other place if we practice it and share about it together. And rather than being a victim of our body, the body begins to, the inner doctor, the vibrant doctor, begins to take over. I love the guidance during I love that guidance. It's just such beautiful guidance because often our body, it seems like the body has a mind of its own. You mentioned, Dr. Norm, anatomy of an illness. He was the one person. There was a few people I missed. I missed meeting Norman Cousins, and I just love Norman Cousins.
Yes, he was a great guy. I met him briefly.
Did you? How was your meeting like?
Well, he was a nice guy. You know, he was obviously a very, very nice guy.
Yes. That was. Then his book was The Healing Heart. He talked about the book The Healing Heart. He said when he was at this golf course, he says everybody was. I guess this guy had some kind of cardiac issue, some kind of heart issue, and what they were doing is they were doing all these mechanical things and taking his pressure and Norman Cousins came over and he just leaned down and he said hello to the guy and he said his system began to normalize and regulate properly. But he says sometimes in medicine you miss the person. You're so busy attempting to do impositional regulation. So the human touch, you know. Olga Warel, it was because of you that I went to see her with Donna, and I did go to see her. And I remember that day leaving the parking lot with Donna, Michael's mom. And these women, there was maybe 6 or 8 of them, they came over and gave us a lot of money. I remember they just came to our car. That's a very good practice, by the way, that you haven't had that happen. Someone comes and gives you money to your car to healing service. That was kind of fun. I was always very interested. You know, I don't know if you remember this, but I was doing a videotape, and what was this guy's name at the time? You liked his work. He was a long-distance healer, and you came on the video, and that he was there. And his name was it an Indian name? I think he was an engineer that you were testing. You sometimes test people's long-distance healing ability. And I'm telling you, this is not good. I'm forgetting his name. But you respected him at the time.
Ostad Hadi Pavarande?
No, but that's a good guess. No, I don't know. No, but I like that name. That's tell us about him. No, this guy's name was, I think, with an S. Was it Sat or Sam? Maybe Sam? He's probably in his I would say he was in his 50s or 60s, and he was traveling at the time doing these seminars, and he was becoming very popular. And you told me that you felt he was doing very good work, working with people and teaching people this kind of inner healing method. And I'm forgetting it. I remember you came on when he was there. I'm just forgetting his name. So, first of all, what's your experience? I love the article. If you haven't read Dr. Norm Shealy's article, which is called, I think it's called Psychic Malpractice. It's just brilliant. Around how do you find a healer or someone who says they're a medical intuitive? How would you know? This article addresses that, I think, brilliantly.
You really can't be sure. I have studied a number of healers.
Yes.
Actually, Olga Warel was the most studied of all persons in spiritual healing in history. I've got 15,000 letters that were sent to her from people she healed, as well as all kinds of other experiments that were done. But Ostad Hadi Pavarande was originally from Iran, but he moved to this country, and he sent me 100 medical records of patients he had healed. And so I invited him to come and spend a week at the clinic. And I actually have 216 patients here in Springfield.
Yes.
Where I have checked the ability of a healer from up to 1,000 miles away to change their EEG within a couple of minutes right here in Springfield. And they can. They can actually change the EEG in 2 minutes or less from 1,000 miles away.
Is there anybody are there two or three healers right now in the world that you feel are proving this in the tradition of Olga Warel, for instance, that you feel are really supreme at this?
Well, unfortunately, Ostad has passed on, and Olga has passed on.
Yeah.
Kimberly Meredith, Meredith in California, is one of those.
Okay.
Can do it.
Well, okay, I'm going to write this down. Kimberly. And how do you spell last name?
Meredith.
Okay.
She's a nice young lady.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old she is, but she can't be more than 30, I would think.
Okay.
But I can change your EEG from outside the room. I haven't done it from 1,000 miles away, but I can, in a minute from outside the room, change the EEG of a patient sitting in another room. Now, I've never tested myself from a distance because I'm not, I don't consider myself a spiritual healer.
Mm-hmm.
But it is possible to focus the mind and do that.
What about Master Teresa? Did you ever Master Teresa? We talked about her a couple of weeks ago. Who's helped a lot of people around.
I know her, and I have never tested her on an EEG, but I do consider her a good qigong teacher and practitioner. Yes.
Yeah. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network here on PRN. I'm Glenn Brooks, along with Dr. Norm Shealy, Lisa LaRose. We're exploring how to change your telomeres. Your telomeres, when you lengthen your telomeres, you become younger. So imagine being whatever you are chronologically, becoming younger. Your cells are becoming younger, and this is a practice. This is a way of life. We're offering a year-long course, but the practice is like the autogenic exercise. Also, where you get to, if you will, re-choose. I was with, what's his name? The guy who wrote Life After Life. Was it Raymond Moody? Raymond Moody. He said that a lot of people, what they do is they live their lives. Like as an example, insurance records will show that a person who's let's say a conservative, I think the conservatives would die younger than their parents or right at the same time as their parents. The radicals, like basically our beliefs will also manifest into our longevity. So rather than it happening unconsciously, imagine the ability to rewrite or design or basically implement something so that you're conscious of developing this longevity program haphazardly. Now, when you first told me that story about your great-great-grandfather, that stuck in me very deep, this idea that we were programmed and we just live the program and it kind of happens to us rather than we could decode the program and grow younger and more aware and not take on the family code. So the family code's arthritis, if it's Alzheimer's. Like imagine the ability, practicing something like autogenics, which we're going to eradicate the things that could just basically happen like osmosis. Do you feel like aging is a bad habit that we could break?
Well, to me, I do think that you should not call yourself old until you're at least 100.
Mm-hmm.
That means
wonderful.
I don't consider myself old just because I'm 88. I don't. Mm-hmm. That's not old. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I still feel 26. And I have the same energy and the same, zest for life, so to speak. As did my great-grandmother, who did die at 102. And her father lived into his late 90s. That's on my mother's side of the family. On my father's side of the family, however, my father and 4 of his brothers all died between 48 and 54 years of age. They all smoked. Brother number 6 lived to be at least 80. He didn't smoke. So you can't say it's genetics in my experience if you've got bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
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 Now, the average American still dies at 79. It's average because they've got such bad health habits.
Right. What do you think of? What do you think is there? What's the good habits that strike you? Like when people come to see you, what's 3 really good habits? And maybe they're obvious, but to you, like when you see someone, do you notice a good habit that they have? Like, what are 3 good habits that you think Americans practice, knowingly or unknowingly, that contribute to the longevity?
Normal weight. That's at the top of the list. The number one cause of premature death is being overweight. That's a body mass index of 18 to 24. A body mass index of 30 is plain, sloppy fat.
Yeah.
Now, that's the only difference between 24 and 30, but that's 40 pounds or more over your ideal weight. That's at the top of the list. a good health habit is no smoking. 22% of Americans still smoke, of adults. And that is right after obesity as a number 2, known habit causing early death. Number 3 is the average American eats only 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. 2.2 servings? I get 22 to 25 every morning before I start my day. But you need a minimum of 8. If you don't get 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you are not eating right.
Mhm. I thought about yesterday night. I went to a Japanese restaurant. I ordered an avocado seaweed salad, a double seaweed salad and avocado. And the guy next to me, every time the waitress asked him if he wanted vegetables, he always said no. And so I wanted to ask him if he was still getting even with his parents. I was wondering where he learned this habit.
And next is exercise.
Yes. Okay.
Only 10% of Americans get 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week. So that's like breathing. To me, 30 minutes 5 days a week is the essential exercise compared to breathing. I get 2 hours 7 days a week. And, of course, at least during the good season, I get at least 2 to 4 hours extra on the weekends. And finally, sleeping. 7 to 8 hours every night, not occasionally. Sleeping less than 7 hours, you do not function normally. It's not possible.
So we kind of we default to something else, and then maybe that's how we get why normal health is such not good health, because normal is a compensation, and we don't really practice these wonderful, vibrant habits. I think Jack LaLanne told me his father passed away in his 50s, but he said his father didn't eat well and didn't live well. He said that to me, I think he was just about 90. He did tell me that dying was going to be bad for his reputation. He was correct, by the way.
Yes, I met him when he was in his late, I think, almost 90 years of age.
Oh, wow. I like Jack LaLanne a lot.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. I must say, he didn't like the Weider brothers. He always thought they were the dark force, because the Weider brothers had promoted bodybuilding, but very far away from physical culture, which is really a lifestyle and food, and they got more into drugs and steroids, and he hated that. He didn't want people to, every day he did say to me, and I don't think you ever said this, but he told me, he says, Glenn, I hate exercising. I love what it does for me. I don't think you've never mentioned you enjoy the process. You never said you hated it, but Jack LaLanne would say that. He goes, I hate it, but I like what it does for me.
Well, I enjoy it. Actually, to me, it energizes me.
Yeah.
It adds to my energy.
Yeah.
And I believe that it helps to keep you positive. It helps to release the things and just allows that optimism to sort of flow through you. I enjoy it. It's when I walk my dogs in the evening. It's peaceful, and we'll walk sometimes 2 miles depending on their energy level and the temperature outside. But I just detach from everything. I don't think about anything. I just release it, let it go into the woods, and just breathe and just be present. I'm just present in the moment, which is really wonderful. Because I don't get sometimes that opportunity during the day, as other people don't. But I'm going to definitely practice my sleeping habits to be. I will tell you, Norm, that since we have been doing this series, I have been much more conscious and really try to make sure that I get my 7 or 8 hours every night, which has really been a gift. So thank you for that.
Norm, do you bring your?
I was going to say,
you've given Lisa the gift of more sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know I crave I don't. It's not. I don't. I do it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go to bed. I am a bedaholic when it comes to going to bed and getting my 8 hours of sleep.
That's great. And I would imagine you wake up without an alarm clock.
Oh heavens, I don't need an alarm for certain. I don't like them. I don't want that noise in my bedroom.
Right.
Right.
Me too.
Right. I don't either. I just, when I'm rested.
I mean, occasionally I quote oversleep by 15 minutes.
And what about I know you've had shepherds. Do you have one shepherd? How many dogs do you have right now?
Well, none. My dear beloved
Okay.
Tonto developed the German Shepherd disease and became paralyzed in his hind legs about 6 weeks ago. And actually, I had him cremated.
I was wondering. I was just going to ask you if you included your dogs, but that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you going to get another shepherd?
Well, the reason I'm not is I don't have I live on a farm, and I don't have a fenced-in yard around my house, and so I don't have a way of training a young dog. So I'm probably not going to get another dog, much as I would like to. I'd have to put up a fence, and I'm not going to bother with it.
Well, we'll just have to manifest in one that's fully trained and doesn't like to leave a yard for you. That's the intention.
Would you like that idea, Norm? Would you like to have a dog that's already trained that would stay within the property?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
Especially if it was either a German Shepherd or a Labrador. Those are my favorite, too.
All right, how did you want to leave the audience today? What's your vibrant wisdom quote what do you want people to live by until they listen to this? What do you want people to practice and live by this week?
Keep the faith, baby. The faith in yourself, your belief that you are okay and that you are here to help people, and you're just going to keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Uncle Norm. Thank you, Lisa. Your life's precious and joy, and I'm Glenn Brooks for the Vibrant Living Network and Vibrant Longevity Community. Thank you guys deeply, and thanks people at prn.fm. Join our program for the next year. You'll become younger. You'll meet some amazing people. I'll be facilitating and making sure this becomes part of your bones and your soul. I'm Glenn Brooks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.